So in my previous video, I have already covered the three phases of service-oriented design. So in my previous video, I have already covered the three phases of service-oriented design. And these three phases are: compose SOA is the first phase. Second phase is designing the entity-centric business services. And the third step is designing the application services. And today I am going to cover the phase number 4 of service-oriented design cycle, is the designing the task-centric business services. So today I am covering the service-oriented design phase number 4, designing task-centric business services. As we know that in service-oriented architecture, the application, the problem statement is again divided into two various tasks. The first one is entity-centric and another one is task-centric. Again, same layer is again shared by entity-centric business services as well as task-centric business services. And in task-centric business services, as the name suggested, the business services business services are again divided into task base. So based on the task, the business service is divided into different tasks, and these tasks are again computerized with the help of web services and web API. So let us start the service-oriented design phase number 4, designing the task-centric business service. So this is the service-oriented design life cycle phases, and out of these phases we have covered compose SOA. I have covered step number 2, design entity-centric business service. Then I have covered step number 3, design application services, and today I am going to cover the step number 4, which is based on business design task-centric business services. So let us start. So this the first phase is compose SOA, and after that we are designing the 4 different phases. So today also we are covering the designing the task-centric business service. So it's a part of service layer. So task-centric business service design. So as compared to entity-centric or application-based services, task-centric business service is required less effort than the previous 2 design process. We have already covered entity-centric and application-based services. So as compared to these 2 services, the step number 4, phase number 4 required less efforts. Simply because reuse is generally not a primary consideration. We are again fulfilling the end user requirement, and that end user requirement is again a unique type of requirement. Therefore, instead of using reusing the system, developing the new system with the help of task-centric approach, only the service operation candidates are again identified. We have already covered the analysis phase. So in the analysis phase, we have identified the scenarios, and that scenario is again converted into flow chart or activity diagram. And here our main aim is we have already identified the service operation candidates. We have already identified the service candidates. Now we are working on the operations of that service candidates, what we have identified in our analysis phase. So in service operation candidates are again identified. So every web service perform different operations, and the operations identification task is again covered in the task-centric business service. So see here, the task-centric business service can comprises the business service layer along with entity-centric neighbors. So this particular service layer is again shared by the task-centric as well as entity-centric business services. So task-centric services reside in the business layer alongside entity-centric services. So entity-centric services and task-centric services are reside in a individual layer. That layer is called as business service layer. It's a part of service interface layer. It's a part of service interface layer. So see here, the designing the task-centric business service is further divided into five different steps. So designing task-centric business services further divided into five different steps or phases. And these phases, see here, the step number 4. Task-centric business service is further divided into define workflow logic, step number 1, derive initial interface, step number 2, apply service orientation, step number 3, standardize service interface, step number 4, and identify required processing, step number 5. So let us see one by one these steps. So the first step is defining the workflow logic. So defining the workflow logic, before covering that, let us see the timesheet submission process services we have again divided with the help of task-centric approach. So with the help of task-centric approach, the timesheet submission process is divided mainly into two different sub-processes or two different sub-tasks. So timesheet submission process is divided with the help of task-centric approach into two sub-processes. The first is what? Verify the timesheet service. So verify timesheet service, take all the details, and if all the details means all the steps are again fulfilled, then accept the timesheet. And second task is, if one of the step fails, then reject the timesheet service. So here the timesheet submission process service is divided into two different tasks. The first task is verify timesheet services and second task is reject timesheet service. So after completion of these two different task-centric services, then composition. So timesheet submission process service need to compose up to the two separate services. These two separate services when developed or created, and when we combine, when we compose these two different services, our timesheet submission process service is again completed. So in timesheet submission process, we have divided the timesheet submission process into two different tasks. The first task is verify the timesheet service. So verify timesheet service covers different service candidates. So in the analysis phase, we have already identified the service candidate, and here we are identifying the service operation, service candidate operations. So here we have identified the service name, got recorded hours for customer and the date range. Get billed hours for customer and date range. Compare recorded hours with billed hours. Get overtime hours for date range. Get authorization. Get weekly hour limits. Compare weekly hour limit with the hours recorded. And the last service identified candidate service is get customer. So these are the different methods identified for the verify timesheet service task-centric approach. And in second task-centric approach is what? Rejecting the timesheet services. So in the rejection, what methods are again performed? The first method is updating the employee history, sending the message to the employee, and send message to the manager. So I have already covered the case studies in my previous video. If you have not seen my case studies, timesheet submission process service case study, then please visit my that video, and please see that particular video so that you will get the idea. So timesheet submission process, there are different tasks. So get the recorded hours, then get the billed hours and compare the recorded hours with the billed hours. And if the recorded hours matched with the billed hours, then only the timesheet is accepted. The first condition is satisfied. So second condition is what? Get overtime hours from the employee and check that that overtime is again sanctioned or authorized by customer or not. If the customer given the authorization for the additional overtime, then this time sheet is again accepted. Second task, second condition to accept the time sheet. And the third condition for accepting the time sheet is get the weekly hour limit from employee table, and then compare the weekly hour limit with the hour recorded from the timesheet table. Compare the hour limit and hour recorded, and if the hour limit is less than the hours recorded, in that case get the customer details and prepare the invoice and accept the timesheet and preparing the invoice. So timesheet acceptance service. And if the one of the condition is again failed, then you reject the timesheet and notify the employee, notify the manager, and update the employee history table. So the step number 1 related with this task centric business service design is defining the workflow logic. Here we have divided the timesheet submission process into 2 different tasks. So verify timesheet, and after verification you accept the timesheet, and the second task is rejecting the timesheet. So define the workflow logic. So here the workflow is again defined, and the service composition task is again fulfilled. So in our task-centric business service, in our timesheet submission process, we are composing the verify timesheet service along with the rejection of timesheet service. So acceptance and rejection is again combined or composed to form a timesheet based service. So our first step is therefore is to define the logic for every possible interaction scenario. We have already identified the candidate service, and now we are identifying the candidate operations. So operation perform on the each and every candidate service. So timesheet submission process service need to compose the 2 different separate services. The first is verify timesheet service, and second one is reject timesheet service. So after development of these 2 different services, you combine these particular 2 services to form a timesheet submission process service. So see here, interaction scenario to verify the timesheet. So how the timesheet is again verified? So compare the hours recorded on a timesheet to hours billed to the customer, the first condition. If the first condition is satisfied, then confirm that authorization was given for any recorded overtime hours by the customer to employee. If the second condition is again verified, then check the third condition. Confirm that the total hours recorded for a 1 week do not exceed a predefined maximum limit for that worker or employee. So all the 3 services are again accepted. Then this interaction scenario says that you accept the timesheet. So to accepting the timesheet, these 3 conditions are again executed and monitored. If the 3 conditions are again satisfied, then and then only the timesheet is accepted. One of the condition is failed, the timesheet is rejected. So if the timesheet is rejected, then what task is again, what scenarios are again written for rejection of the timesheet? The first task is update the worker profile record to keep track of rejected timesheet. So employee history table is again updated. His profile table is again updated, worker profile is again updated, and worker gets the idea that his timesheet number so and so is again rejected by the clerk. Then the second task, issue a timesheet rejection notification to the worker. Worker gets the message from the clerk that his timesheet is rejected because of particular reason. The three conditions we have seen. So out of these three conditions, which condition is again not satisfied, single or multiple condition not satisfied? So that message is again received by the employee or the worker. The third condition is rejection reason is issue a notification to the worker's manager. Under one manager, multiple workers or employees are again working. So if the timesheet is rejected under that particular managers, in that case, the message is also sent to the manager that your employee number so and so worksheet means timesheet is rejected because of this particular reason. So step number 2, derive the service interface. Again, how this service interface is again derived, we have already covered this in entity centric as well as application service designing. So use the application service operation candidates. As I have said that you have already finalized the service candidate, and finalizing the operation candidate for each and every service candidate is again the task of task centric business service. Second step, derive the service interface. So use the application service operation candidates to derive the set of corresponding operations. So operations are again identified candidate service wise. Then unlike the previous design process, the source from which we derive our service interface this time also include the activity diagram. We have already identified the scenarios of each and every service candidate. The next task is converting that scenarios into activity or simple flow chart, and then design the service interface. The step number 3, document the input and output values. So what input you are providing to the given service, and what type of output is again provided by the given web service with the help of XSD schema type. You start the schema, you end the schema, you start the input parameters, you end the input parameter, you start assigning the output response parameter, and you end the response parameter. This is what the XSDs, XML schema definition is used for explaining the input and output values. I have already shared the calculator service schema document in my entity centric or application centric process. And the last one is build the WSDL definition by creating the port type. So prepare the WSDL, and for preparing the WSDL, the service candidate wise operations are again identified, and then the WSDL is generated with the help of port type tag of WSDL. So WSDL is again designed in the task centric business service. So see here, we have already finalized the scenarios, and after finalizing the scenario, converting that scenarios into activity diagram. So this is the activity diagram or the flowchart of verify timesheet. So to verify the timesheet, the timesheet is received from the employee. So receive the timesheet from the employee, then compared to billed hours. So recorded hours is again taken from the timesheet and compared with the billed hours. If both the hours match, yes, then check the authorization. If the authorization is given by customer or not for the overtime hours. If the answer is yes, then check the hour limits from the employee table and the recorded number of hours in a particular week. So you compare that, and if all the three conditions are again satisfied, then and then only the timesheet is again verified and accepted. If the timesheet is rejected, so that is explained in the next particular activity diagram, which is based on rejection of timesheet. So timesheet is rejected and the three different tasks are again performed, and this is again explained with the help of activity or flow chart. So the if the three or one of the condition is not satisfied, then you update the worker profile. So you update the worker profile that his timesheet is rejected. Send the message to the manager. Send the message to the manager that under that particular manager, the employee is working and that employee's timesheet is rejected because of this particular reason. And send message to that employee also that his timesheet is rejected because of this particular reason. So you mention the reason also. So the step number 3, apply the principles of service orientation. So here we are finalizing the service candidate, we are identifying the service operations, and after identifying the service operations, we are finalizing the scenarios, we are converting that scenario into activity diagram or flow chart, and then apply the service oriented principle on that web services or service candidate services. And these principles are, we have already seen this principle in entity centric or in application services. The principles are same. So whenever you are developing the web services, that web service fulfills the principle of reusability, principle of autonomy. The services are autonomous, not depend on each other, executed separately on their own. Service statelessness, every service is again executes and dies. No information is recorded long term in the service because the services are stateless. The state is not mentioned in the in case of sessions we are maintaining the state, but here in web services we are not maintaining the service state. So services are statelessness, and services are discoverability. So services are discoverable because to know the purpose of developing web service is what? Sharing the web services with the other organization, with the service requester. And if the service requester is able to find out the web service easily, then and then only that service is again executed, included by that service requester in his application. So step number 3 is what? Apply principles of service orientation. Step number 4, standardize and refine the service interface. So after developing or designing the web services, means service candidates are again identified, service uh, operations are again identified. Then here you refine the that service interface to have more creative operation names. So you are identifying the service operations. So give some creative operation names to the candidate services, to the operations of that candidate services. Existing conventions still need to be applied. So existing conventions we are applied on the web services. And we are applying the principles are also reusability, autonomicity, statelessness, discoverability, and we are providing some creative operation names. So let us see some of the operation names identified for the timesheet submission process. So verify timesheet services. So from that verify timesheet service, I have taken three different services. The first service, these three different services performing the task, the first condition of the acceptance of timesheet service. The condition is get recorded hours for the customer and date range. So the service name is get recorded hours is the name of the service. Operations. So I have identified three operations. So get the recorded hours from the timesheet, then get from date and to date from the timesheet, and then get the customer ID from that timesheet submitted by the employee. So performing these three operations, and these three operations are again identified for the service called get recorded hours. So similarly, the second step is get billed hours for the customer and date range. So the name of the service is again given like this: get billed hours, and the operations identified. So get billed hours, comma, get from date and to date, and the third operation is what? Get the customer ID for a particular customer. Get the billed hours and get from date and to date. And after completion of service 1 and service 2, compare the first service with second service, and if, and the name of the service is again given as comparing recorded versus billed service. So I have taken recorded and billed. So compare recorded and billed services with each other, and if the recorded hours match with the billed hours, then accept the timesheet. So this is what the process of identifying the services and the operations from the candidate services. So total 11 candidate services we have identified. So same exercise is again carried out for the 11 phases and 11 service candidates. Step number 4, step number 5. So we have already covered the step number 4. The step number 5 of task-centric business service design is identify the required processing. So implementation of task-centric service interface. How to implement? Compose the verify timesheet service and reject timesheet service. So combining these two services becomes a timesheet submission process service. So processing the requirement of its operation. So this is what the last step of this task-centric business service design. So business service design, a task-centric business service design is divided into 5 steps. The first step is designing the workflow logic. Second is derive the initial interface. Third is apply service orientation principles. Then fourth step is standardizing the service interface, and the last step what we have seen is that identify the required processing on the candidate services and candidate operations identified. So this is what the fourth step of service oriented design. In my next lecture I am covering the final fifth step of the service oriented design in my next video. So today I am covering this much only. Thank you.